Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. Today we have Gus. Yes, it's the 1976 film. I was wrong. It wasn't necessarily a donkey that I said yesterday. It's a mule. But yeah, it's an hour and 36 minutes long. It is the story of a boy and his mule. Andy, coming all the way from Yugoslavia, his is the brother of a famous soccer player. The famous soccer player is loved by everyone, and he's a hero, and his parents cannot stop raving about him, and he can't do anything right. But he does have a mule that can kick a soccer ball 100 yards easily, no problem. 100 yards, full length of an American football field, coincidentally, or not so coincidentally. Of course, there's word that gets out of Yugoslavia of this great ball kicking mule, and when the California Adams football team in the NFL, this is a fictional team in the NFL, they get to use terms like the NFL and the Super Bowl in this movie, along with a lot of product placement. Before, I guess, there was product placement, because there's a scene in a grocery store at one point that just has everything from Coke and Pepsi and Frosted Flakes and Trix and everything you can imagine just peppered throughout. Normally the companies be paying boatloads of money to have that featured in the movie, but I'm thinking this wasn't like that. And it was in a Ralph's grocery store, which is, part of the Kroger line of things, but it's a California grocery store. Anyway, that's a very, very far off tangent about what I'm talking about. So this failing team that can't win a game to save their life, they're trying every gimmick in the book. They have crappy cheerleaders that are super old and dumpy, and they try. They're they can do some stuff. The one girl can do all sorts of flips, but the way things are, she's not attractive, so it's not a big deal. Football team isn't any better. They can't score to save their lives. Their kicker can get his shoe over the goalposts. That's about it. But they get scored on constantly. At some point, they figure they're going to drum up some interest by bringing over this boy and his mule to be part of the halftime show of any of their games, just to make things interesting. That's the premise, anyway. And Ed Asner, who is the owner of the team, you know him from Lou Grant and everything else, and Mary Tyler Moore. He's the owner. Don Knotts is the coach, which he doesn't get a lot to do. He's, whatever scene he's in, he's just sort of, the kind of Don Knotts exasperation, and he gives a little bit of a pep talk that's just it's funny. It's funny more than inspiring. We got so many different people in this. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But anyway, they bring the mule over, and the mule does great in the halftime show. And at one point, they get to a part in the game where, well, I should say the reason why the owner Ed Asner, who plays Hank, he has a deal. He makes a deal with a friend of his that he owes money to, or whatever. He's played by, he's played by Harold Gould, which he's been in a bunch of Disney stuff. He's a character actor beyond character actors of this era, 60s, 70s, 80s. He's done everything, from Gunsmoke to Twilight Zone. He's done tons of stuff. He plays Charles Gwynn. He's a business guy, and they make the dumbest bet that if they can win the next 7 games, he doesn't owe him any money, I think, and then, but if he loses the team or to the guy. Then they up the ante and make it so that if they can make it to the Super Bowl, they have to literally win every game and go to the Super Bowl, which they're at the bottom. I don't know how they're going to get to the Super Bowl. He'll get to keep the team or something. It didn't seem like a bet any person would ever take, but Ed Asner's a little bit desperate, And at some point he decides, I'm going to just let the donkey kick the field goal. I'm like, wait, you can't do that. People are like yelling at him, you can't do that. Well, apparently he checked the rules, and as they're checking the rules, they're like, there's no rules that say you can't put a mule in as a team. You have to have 11 players on the team. That's the rule. It didn't say it had to be human. I'm sure that rule's been changed since 1976, I'm guessing. Not that this is a documentary or anything, or based in real life, but I'm pretty sure you just can't throw a mule or a monkey or a robot or anything into a football game at this point. I don't know. In real life, I have no idea. But anyway, of course, Gus is successful. Gus, the mule, the name of the movie, Gus is so successful. He's dead on getting these field goals and extra points and everything else. Just, well, you know what? The team is so bad, they don't even actually, I don't think they actually score any touchdowns ever. I don't think they have through the entire season. That's one of the things that one of the announcers makes a big point of saying. By the way, one of the announcers, played by Bob Crane, character's name is Pepper. Bob Crane, you'll know him from Hogan's Heroes. He, God, he's egomaniac kind of crazy person in announcer in this. He kind of overtalks Johnny Unitas, who's also an announcer who barely gets to speak. But you swear this is the kind of character that Will Ferrell would have created a character after in this movie, because it feels kind of Will Ferrell-ish, or it feels like a Saturday Night Live skit. Anyway, they make the point that the team just can't score. They must have great defense though, because they keep while Gus is on the team, Gus is able to score something like 14 field goals in the course of a game to win it. No matter how many touchdowns the other team gets, they must be able to get the turnarounds, or at least block the other team from scoring as much as they can to allow Gus to get to the point where they just kick the field goals consistently. And at one point, he scored 42 points in a game. That's a lot of... No, he's scored... Sorry, not 42 points. He scored 14 field goals. So that's 14... It's a lot of points. It's whatever it is. It's 3 points. Yeah, whatever. I know football. Not as well as most, but I know football. Anyway, he gets the field goals, and he's doing great. But the rival decides to try to sabotage every effort. He hires two con men right out of prison, picks them up outside the prison, and they're played by Tom Bosley from the dad from Happy Days, and Tim Conway. Normally he'd be with Harvey Korman. Must have been busy or something, but Tom Bosley and Harvey Korman play these scam artists, con men, who decide to steal the mule, steal Gus, or get him drunk before a game, or do so many crazy. Or they try to get Andy, who is the Yugoslavian guy who owns him, keep him from holding the ball, like by saying that the girl he likes is in the hospital and she needs a blood transfusion, so they put him in a gown. And I'm not going to ruin everything for you, but it's the movie's been out for 45 years, so it's 44 years. So yeah, you had the chance to know this. Anyway, you'll forget all this by the time you get to see it, because I think you should see it. I think it's a good example of some of the crazy, wacky animal antics movies that they had in Disney. It's totally wholesome. It's really goofy. There's tons of bad special effects and needless green screen, or blue screen at the time. Needless blue screen shots of people kicking balls, or Gus kicking the ball in front of what looks like it would be a crowd of people, but it was all done in a studio, and yeah, it's so ugly obvious. It's hilarious. And this is a year before Star Wars, so yeah, this is this is a special effects hadn't made that humongous visual jump yet. But yeah, there's so many people in this. Oh, Dick Butkus, who used to be a football player, plays the rival for Andy's girl. He used to be dating the girl Andy starts dating, because she just starts liking Andy. She dumps Dick Butkus. Dick Butkus does whatever he can to try to, and yes, I'm saying the name right if you don't know who Dick Butkus is. He's a big guy, and he tries to take it out on Andy and tries to injure him, and he's on the same team, and he tries to attack Andy, and it doesn't go well for him. Let's just say that Gus is protective. So, yeah, there's lots of crazy, wacky antics, and it's so very much shot in LA, and up in the Malibu area and the hills and stuff like that. There's Palisades, I think. There's a lot of very LA moments in this thing. But yeah, it's a great cast. It's silly, kind of funny. There's not a lot of moments, but it's going to make you go, oh yeah, that's very cultured comedy. No, it's silly, it's goofy. It's not meant to make a whole lot of sense. It's mostly slapstick, especially when it's Tom Bosley and Tim Conway against Gus. They're trying to wrangle him. And Tom Bosley affects this really weird Yiddish accent that's very, very thick, and it's part of his disguise for some reason. I don't know why, but it's not like anybody knows him from before that he would have to affect this accent to hide who he was when he's a doctor, I guess. I don't know. It might be racist. I have no idea. But no, great cast. I should say that Debbie Kovac, the girl, cute, is played by Louise Williams. If you know who she is, but yeah, this is a who's who of 60s and 70s era comedies, both TV and film. This is, I didn't know what to expect with this, and yes, it's not the most sophisticated film ever, but I think everybody in the family can enjoy this. Obviously, it's a football kicking mule. Oh, and there's a story arc with Andy where he constantly gets crapped on by his parents, especially his dad. His mom's supportive, but his dad can only think of his brother as the hero who's a soccer player, and Andy is just a guy who holds a football for a donkey. He's no hero. Well, and that really gets in Andy's head. So there's a human story arc here. It's not just about the mule, about Gus. So there's a bit of a struggle to get through this whole thing, but for the most part, you're going to want to watch this just for the wacky antics that go on throughout it, and that's what it's got in spades. So I say give it a shot next chance you get. Gus on the Disney Plus streaming service. Let's pick tomorrow's episode. 676. Ooh, way up there. Staying out of the G's and H's for once. Went too far. 676. Ooh. There you go. The story of Robin Hood and his merry men. There you go. I don't know if that's blurry for you or not. There. 676. The story of Robin Hood and his merry men. Merry is spelled kind of strange. All right, well, I'll see you back here with that on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. Bye. Just to be clear, this is the story of Robin Hood, not the animated one. This is the 1952 one. It is, it's about an hour and a half long. So pick this one. There's a bunch of Robin Hood stuff. There's a few Robin Hood things, but it's this one. It doesn't mention the merry men in the title, but it's the story of Robin Hood. All right? See you back here tomorrow. For real this time. Bye.